the script and here we go. As chairman of Division 2 of the House Finance Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor and as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with House Rule 67 and the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. This public meeting today, we will be voting on several issues that we need to come to grips with prior to finalizing the budget. And also, I plan to spend some time on the statewide entity to receive complaints out alleging misconduct regarding sworn and elected law enforcement officers. And that's on that commission. All members of the committee, please note there's no physical location for members of the public to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting. However, in accordance with Emergency Order 1, I am confirming all members of the committee and select legislative staff have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through the Zoom electronic meeting platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting by the Zoom platform or by telephone. All necessary access information has been made available through the electronic calendar on the General Court website. Notice for this meeting complies with House rules and RSA 91A. Anyone who has a problem accessing the meeting should email lba_fiscal@leg.state.nh.us. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. LBA staff are on the meeting assisting us. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Representative Lynn, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Porter.
I'm here in Hillsborough, in my home. My husband is in the house, but not in the room with me.
Thank you. Representative Turcott.
I'm in my home in Barrington. My wife is in the house in her office.
Thank you. Representative Heath.
Good morning and happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. I'm Mary Heath and I'm here in Manchester in my home and I'm home alone.
Thank you. I'm Bob Lynn. I'm here at my home in Wyndham. I'm in the room alone, but my wife is elsewhere in the house. Representative Murray.
Kate Murray is here in Newcastle. I'm alone in my office. David's in the house. I think he's in his office.
Thank you. Representative Petrie.
Representative Petrie is in his home in Farmington with a dog in a house, in the house, yeah, right, and the wife roaming the halls.
Thank you. And Representative Umberger.
Yes, good morning. I am in my home in Kearsarge, and my husband is in the house, but not in the room.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you all. I guess we have that part memorized, right? So, Mickey has prepared some documents for us, and I'd like to start with the at the top of the list that's called changes from the governor's recommended budget to consider. Mickey, on this, do we want those up or does everybody have them handy?
I have it.
Okay, it looks like we've all got our got our paper, and it is, anyone that wants it, it is available on the LBA website under Division 2 documents. So if you're interested in looking at those, that's it. So Mickey, would you explain the number one, the safety?
Sure.
Oh.
So this kind of compiles everything that agencies have kind of put on the record with their presentations as far as request changes to their budget, as well as some other changes that have been made so far. Those are shaded in gray. So starting right off the bat, in row number one, safety's additional prioritized needs. If you recall, as part of their budget presentation, the department had, I believe it was close to 60 separate items that they had ranked in a priority order for the division to consider. Because they do have a mixed funding situation at the Department of Safety, you'll see this request spread out between row 1, row 14, and row 22. This is the total of all, I think it was 59 prioritized requests. So that's what the safety additional prioritized needs represents.
Okay, so these were the extra forensic people?
Yep. So all the positions they requested, there was some other, I think there was some facility maintenance money at one of the requests. I'd have to pull the list, but it was extensive, as you remember. Quite a few positions to be funded was the lion's share of their requests.
Okay, so I think we better hold off on this one until we see what's going on with the general fund. So Representative Murray, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Just so I understand, so the total of what safety is requesting across these three agencies is around, the total is around 10 to 11 million? If I'm looking at 1 and 14 and 22, or yeah, 22.
If you add all, that would fund 100% of their requests, correct?
And that's around between 10 and 11 if I'm adding really fast.
Between those three, actually it's general, highway, and then that other is a combination of several other sources of funds. But yes, in total funds, it's around 10, 11 million.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Mary, I'm telling you, you got to water that and fertilize it. Okay. The next two items there are full funding for the community college and the university system. And I'm going to pass over those as well at this point. I would love to be able to provide additional money, but I just don't see it at this time. The education is looking for $2 million for student information data system. Again, a worthy cause, but I don't see us at this point either. The next one is 108,000 to move a position from federal funds to general funds. Mickey, do you want to talk to us about this one? Oh, I'm sorry, Mary. Representative Heath, you have your hand up.
I just wanted to say that I did agree with you about that line in education. I think now is not the time to do that. So I think that we will agree with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
So this was one of the requests that the Department of Ed had brought forward, that they have a position that's currently in a federally funded accounting unit in the governor's recommended budget. And they're seeking to relocate that position to be funded through general funds. They had, I think, testified that that position could not be funded where it is now, and they're just seeking to keep it existing, or keep it an existing position, but it would just move to general funds. So to do this change, if you look at line 33 down below, we would reduce the federal fund appropriations in the budget and increase general funds. So this would be about a $225,000 increase to your general fund spending if you were to approve this item. And we don't have that in the House Bill 1 amendments separate document today. So that's just for you to be aware of. And if, as an example, if any of these items, someone on the committee wishes to make a motion and, I want to fund this, I want to,
Yep.
I think the chair will accommodate that. I can also prepare for you kind of a specific sheet similar to the House Bill 1 items I sent to you last night for any of these agency requests.
Yep, I agree, but I think we're all cognizant of where the general fund stands, and Ways and Means is doing some work, and I don't know whether any of that money will come to Division 2, or if it will all go to Division 1 and Division 3, which have much larger general fund requirements than we do. But again, we may, I don't want to take them off the table right now, because surprise, Mary's money tree comes through for us. So Representative Heath, you have a question.
Oh, thank you. Mickey, did the department give you a rationale of why they wanted to move that position? Is it they have to show maintenance of effort, or is there a sound reason?
I can double check with them. They brought this up to the committee when they were before us as one of their requests. I can look back at the item. I don't know if it just had to do with there's not the federal money there to fund that position they expected, but they wanted to keep the position, or it could have just been, it was just inappropriately funded in the wrong area to begin with. So I can get that information for you and follow back up.
Thank you.
Representative Lynn?
My question was really a sort of basically along the same line as Representative Heath just asked. The only thing, Mickey, that would concern me is if the situation was that this was a federally funded position, that the person in the position wasn't really doing what the federal requirements sort of required, and that safety sort of didn't want to get rid of the person, but was just sort of finding a job for them with general funds. So in other words, what I'm saying is I would be interested to know if it's really necessary to have this position, because if it's not, then that makes a difference, I think.
Yep, I will. I'll certainly reach out to them to get a further explanation of why this request has come forward, whether it's was truly a budget mistake, I guess, when they loaded the budget and put the position in the wrong area, or if it is something beyond that. So I'll get additional info for the committee.
Terrific. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Mickey, I thought you were putting things on here that we could all agree with.
Well, I do have those on the next document. So this is a good document this is a kind of our entire universe, so to speak. We've got a House Bill 2 document as well that captures everything. This is really all the requests for budget changes here. So
Yep.
there's certainly going to be some tough items here to discuss. You're not going to probably get through them today.
No.
But this, at least, I hope will help the committee members to kind of get a grasp of the full picture here. That was the idea of these.
Yeah, I know. Okay. The next one is external support for the new Board of Trustees for the Unification Plan. Again, until we decide where we stand on the Unification Plan, I will skip over this one. Okay, additional prioritized needs from transportation. We've already covered the safety. Mickey, is this money within the highway fund, or is this?
This request here, the additional prioritized needs the department brought forward would be all highway funds. So this is money for equipment. This is other maintenance efforts that they had brought forward that they would like to fund in the next 2 years. The Conway bypass payback would be included in this. This is just all their additional funding needs that are not currently included in the budget.
Okay, so, and there's not sufficient dollars in the highway fund to cover these.
No, I mean, as of right now, with the actions that have taken place to this point, we're about $1.5 million, $1.6 million in the deficit. The committee had discussed winter maintenance line as a place to address that as a way to balance the highway fund. I'm carrying that down below on this document. If you see at the very bottom, just other items to consider. So if the committee wants to explore that at another time, I don't have a change sheet prepared for that today. But I know that's something that the committee had discussed as an area to balance the highway fund.
Okay, okay. This is in Fish and Game. Oh, Mary, I'm sorry, Representative Heath, did you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question to Mickey. If we were to use that winter maintenance money, what does that ultimately mean?
So it ultimately would mean that the accounting unit with the appropriations to fund the winter maintenance operations would be reduced by, I mean, just using a round number, probably $800,000 a year from the governor's level. It would still have it funded at a higher level than we've had in the last few budgets. And the department still has their existing statutory authority to come to fiscal and request funds from the highway fund if there are any available to cover any shortfalls they have in that area come the realizations of a winter. So it's somewhat business as usual for budget writers in the last few terms, but even after a reduction that we would need to do to balance the highway fund for Division 2, it's still a higher appropriation level than has been in the last few budgets.
Okay, so that's a good place for us to work from then, it
I think
sounds
so.
like. Thank you.
Mickey, I was just a little confused by what you said. When you say it would be a higher appropriation for equipment?
Nope,
And-
I'm sorry, winter, not equipment.
okay,
I'm sorry if I
okay.
misspoke, yeah.
Okay,
No, this would all be a winter maintenance is what I'm referring to with that reduction that we had talked about.
okay. So we could balance the highway fund with winter maintenance and still have a little bit left over. Is that what I'm
Certainly,
hearing?
yeah. Even the net budget that would remain after the reduction you would need to balance the highway fund is still a healthy appropriation level compared to prior budgets.
Okay, okay. We also, I don't think it's in the package today, but DOT has asked for authority to use any extra lapse money to fund winter maintenance. So I'm sorry, I don't know what the lapse number is right now. It's in one of the pieces of paper that we have here. But if they lapse more than that, then they would want to put it against equipment. So that's just something else to put in your brain in regards to funding equipment for DOT.
And we do have, Representative, that amendment is in the House Bill 2 packet that I sent out last night.
Oh, it
So,
is.
yeah, we do have that to discuss when we get to House Bill 2 today, if you'd like.
Okay, all right. But I just wanted to let everybody know. And of course, who knows what the lapse is going to be.
Right.
Okay. Fish and Game. This is to unfund a hatchery manager position. And we did get a letter from Fish and Game asking for this to occur. Go ahead, Representative Heath.
I just think the fishing game, thank you, Madam Chair. Fishing game is healthier than it's ever been. I think they have revenue that if they want to fund this position, that they just take it out of their own little budget. But can I ask one more question too, while we're talking about DOT? They have a really high amount that has to go to the DOIT. And I just, I'm not asking that right now, but just something that I would like to inquire about. Thank you.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, they're going to be given a larger piece for DOIT. So, what do we want to do with this unfunded hatchery manager position? Representative Murray?
Thank you. I agree with Representative Heath. I think this money is maybe better used in many other places, and they are healthy. It seems to me they should be able to fund it themselves.
Just to clarify, this request for the department, or the Fish and Game Department, is to use their federal and their Fish and Game funds to fund it. So can I share my screen, Representative Umberg? I know we all have the documents, but it may be easier for me to share just so everyone's clear what we're talking to at each time.
Sure.
Okay. So hopefully you all can see the PDF here for the HB1 amendment requested by Fish and Game.
Not yet. Oh, yes.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So this was in the packet that I sent out to everybody last night. So this kind of breaks down what the Fish and Game Department is looking to do. So you can see the source of funds for this request are 75% federal and 25% are close to a Fish and Game fund. So the net impact to the Fish and Game fund is very small. They have a healthy surplus right now, a healthy budget. So to me, there's not a whole lot to this request. It just meets one of their needs.
So could I have a motion to approve this?
I'll move that motion to approve that line.
Okay,
Based on the
thank you.
fact That it
Second.
will not use any general funds.
Thank you. Joe, did you second that?
I sure did. I do have a question when you get ready.
Okay, so we have a first, or a motion and a second. Go ahead with your question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Does this take care of the pollution problem at the hatchery in New Durham?
I don't think so.
Representative Petrie, there is a letter that's also in this attachment that I sent last night that was previously sent by the department explaining what this is for. I don't think it's relative to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. So Representative Lynn, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, hang on one second. Let me just get my little form here. All right. And so this is on funding that currently unfunded Fish and Game position. Is that
That's
correct?
correct. That's correct.
All right. So Representative Petrie.
Petrie votes yes.
Representative Turcott.
Turcott votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter.
Representative Porter votes yes.
Representative Heath.
Heath votes yes.
Representative Murray
Murray votes yes.
and Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right. The vote is 7-0 in the affirmative.
Okay. Thank you. All right. the three items for education on the bottom, I think is, we've talked about a couple of them, but right now we're just gonna have to pass over those.
Well, I will just clarify, these are other funds. So the first one, the credentialing, is 100% paid for from the credentialing fund that the commissioner had brought forward with their restructured budget request, as well as adding a position in that area. And then the
Oh,
next,
okay,
growth 32, is the department's awarded grants, has been awarded grants from the Governor's Commission on Alcohol and Other Drugs, and they missed the budget. They had multiple grants. One of them was already in the budget. These two didn't get put in, so they're just asking to recognize these other funded grants. So there's no general fund impact to these
Okay.
these first two.
okay,
And when I swing
So-
over to, and I'll show you this is the picture and the change that they're looking to do for credentialing. And we can start with that one first, or you could do them in a block if you want. And then here's the requests for the grants that missed the budget that they'd like to add in. So as you can see, transfers from other agencies, there's no general funds impacts here. There's no state funds. Same thing with credentialing. This is all from the credentialing fund.
I
okay.
think we're looking at the Fish and
Yeah,
Game
well,
page.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
a-
It's not tabbing over, huh? Sorry about that. It looked really good on my screen, I can tell you.
Well, Mickey, it doesn't want to screen share with us.
No, it doesn't. But I can tell you, these are in the packet that I sent to everybody last night, and they are online too, if anyone listening is looking for what we're referring to. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason.
Okay. We understand it. Representative Heath,
I would be comfortable moving the motion for number 31, the position funded in credentialing. I do know that credentialing should be pretty healthy. I did ask for an amount that they have in that line, but I never did get a response from the commissioner on that. But from my prior knowledge, that was something that there's always plenty of funds there. And the other position, the position, the Governor's Commission on Alcohol and Grant Funds, I would add that too.
okay, so we have a motion to add the position for credentialing and the Governor's Commission on Alcohol Grant Funds.
Second that motion.
If I may, should,
Yes, you may.
I think I could add the request from the DOE to include in the budget those federal lines that they had omitted. Am I saying this right, Mickey?
Which federal lines is that?
Well, they had a request to add dollars that they hadn't listed in their original request, or am I, maybe I should just go with those two positions. We'll just leave it with that one.
So
you.
the credentialing change, and then the two from the Governor's Alcohol and Drug, Governor's Commission on Drug and Alcohol Fund are
Yeah.
the only two that I'm aware of for now.
Yes. That's fine. Yes, thank you. That's the motion.
Second that.
Okay, thank you. Representative Lynn, are we doing okay?
No, we're not sharing screens, I guess.
He's muted. Representative Lynn, you're muted.
I'm sorry, we're talking about items 31, add position and other funding and credentialing, and item 32, add governor's commission on alcohol grant funds. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. All right. Thank you. All right. Representative Petrie.
Petrie votes yes.
All right. Representative Turcott.
Turcott votes yes.
Thank you. Second. Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter.
Porter votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Heath.
Heath votes yes.
Representative Murray.
Murray votes yes.
And Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, 7-0 in the affirmative, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Mickey, what's our next page to look at?
I think at this point, as long as everyone's comfortable and understands everything we just went through, that's kind of everything that's in play that's been discussed in the committee at this time. And I know I've been working with some members on some House Bill 1 amendments for future work sessions, and I'll update this document as we meet to shade what we've already approved, add some new ideas that anyone wants to bring forward. So this will be a working document we'll update each time. I think now we can go to the file that I sent that was called Hb2 Tracking Document, which is essentially lists all of the existing House Bill 2 sections, as well as some amendments that were sent out last night as well to consider. I'd love to share my screen because I think it would help, but Zoom's not cooperating today for some reason. So I'll try one more time. But it is the one that at the top says HB1/HB2 sections to consider. Oh, is the screen working now? Looks like it might be.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So we can go through each of these if you'd like. And there's quite a few that I feel the committee has had consensus on and probably not going to offer any amendments or changes to what's already in the bill. And those could be ones that the division wants to take up today to at least have them behind us. I've got a super easy one to start with, if you'd like. So for those that have been on the committee before, in the back of House Bill 1, one of those back of the budget sections, there's some boilerplate language for the Lottery Commission to have authority to essentially purchase their tickets that they sell. It's never a section that we've ever really changed. It provides the authority for them year after year. Like I said, it's a boilerplate budget section. It resides on page 717 of the House Bill 1 document itself that we aren't even really working from right now, section 4. So customarily, when we have a section that we're not going to want to change, we would usually still vote and say, accept it as it is, or no change, or however you want to word it, Representative Umberger. That way, it'll let us know when we assemble these bills later for the Finance Committee, we know what's in and what's out.
Mm-hmm. Is there a reason why this has never gotten into statute?
No, it's just always been in House Bill 1, and it's got a fixed dollar amount that it changes each budget, but it's kind of just been the general authority that lottery has outside of the budget to purchase their ticket stock.
Okay. Could I have a motion to authorize the back of the budget item on the lottery to be there?
So moved.
Thank
That's
you.
Murray.
Do I have a second?
Second, Petrie.
Representative Petrie, thank you. Oh, Mickey, you probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, what's that? No, the screen sharing I could tell wasn't working again. I'm just trying to troubleshoot what's going on here.
Okay. Okay, Representative Lynn, whenever you're ready to call the roll.
Thank you. That was moved by Murray and seconded by Petrie. Is that correct?
That's correct.
make a note of that. All right. All right, thank you. So Representative Petrie,
Petrie votes yes.
Representative Turcott,
Representative Turcott votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter,
Porter votes yes.
Representative Heath,
Keith votes yes.
Representative Murray,
Murray votes yes.
Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, the vote is 7-0 in the affirmative.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now this is in HB2, page 40, or page 22. This is DOE is allowed to accept gifts for the New Hampshire Scholar Program.
Correct.
Does anyone have a problem with this? Yes, Representative Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only problem I have is there's no funding in that line. But I would make a motion to allow for the Department of Education to accept gifts for the State Scholars Program.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Seconded Turcott.
Okay, thank you. Mary, I think that's just a line that they have to leave, or the area they have to leave open
I
in
know,
case your money tree is working.
right, thank you.
Okay. Representative Lynn, when you're ready to call the roll.
Yep, give me 1 second. Motion by Heath and seconded by Turcott.
That's correct.
All right. Representative Petrie,
Representative Petrie votes yes.
Representative Turcott,
Representative Turcott votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter,
Porter votes yes.
Representative Heath,
Keith votes yes.
Representative Murray,
Murray votes yes.
and Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, so 7-0 vote in the affirmative.
Okay.
Representative, I'm going to switch to Andrea to share a screen because my Zoom's giving me problems. I can already tell I can't scroll up and down or go to pages for the committee. So I'm going to step out here and let Andrea share the same document we were just working from.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I don't know what the challenge is for me today, but there is one.
Well, here's the deal, Mickey. It's always a challenge.
Yeah,
Maybe you should have worn green.
that's true. I thought my first name was enough, but I guess not.
In my house, we always turn it off and turn it back on, and it works.
Thank you, Andrea. So I'd say the next sections in House Bill 245 and 46 are relative to the calculation of adequate education grants. I don't think we're probably getting into that today. So we can probably skip that, Representative.
I think that's a very good idea.
Okay.
I would go down, yeah, I would go down to number 30.
Okay, we do have an amendment possibly that could impact line 20 or page 22, section 47. So in House Bill 2 now, there's an edit to the education trust fund revenue in that if tobacco settlement funds are less than $40 million a year, which is the case, it just makes it clear that that's the amount that goes to the education trust fund. It's nothing more than a clerical technical change that the governor's office recommended putting in there, and we agree with. The only reason I say to bring this one up is you could either accept it as is, or in your amendment packet, amendment number 0693H amends this section. If you recall, one of the things that Division 2 is going to have to address is to allow for the education trust fund to be used for school building aid, tuition and transportation aid,
Right.
special education aid, as we did in the current budget. Last year in House Bill 2, that authority was only granted for the biennium only. The budget does the same thing this time around out of the governor's office and likely will out of Division 2. So we need to amend House Bill 2 to allow for this. There's 2 amendments that do this. One codifies it and makes it so this change will be in perpetuity. That's Amendment 0693H. 0694H does what we did last time and makes that authority for the biennium only. So you would only, as a division, recommend one of those. It really comes down to, do you want that, the education trust fund to be used for these programs for the biennium only or in perpetuity?
Okay, so what you're saying is that we could in fact vote on 47.
Yep. And you would vote on 47 to change it, to make that change that I was just talking about statutory. It would amend this section because 47 affects that same section of law. Or just put it in a chapter law for 2 years if you want that authority for be 2 years only. So it's really up to the committee what policy you want to set for using the education trust fund moving forward.
Representative Heath?
Actually, I think Representative Murray was before me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Murray?
Oh, thank you. It's all, it does, either way is fine with me. I'm just having a hard time parsing lines 34, 35, and 36. It doesn't seem to be, is it written correctly? Is there something that's not here that I'm supposed to know about from another document? But I don't understand, frankly, the sentence, to be blunt. Can you
Which
help me
page,
out?
Representative?
Okay,
Can someone tell me what document you're looking at, please?
HB2.
Thank you.
What it's saying is that if the tobacco settlement has been 40 million for many years. However, if it's less than 40 million, we still want to accept that money into the education trust fund.
So even if it's less than 40 million, all that money goes to the trust fund.
That's
Is
correct.
that what it says?
I
That's
think
what it-
that's,
Yeah,
I
so,
think that's what it says.
so the law is 40 million goes to the education trust fund. Anything extra would have gone to the general fund. The total amount now is anticipated to be less than 40. So this just clarifies it won't be 40. It'll either be 40 or whatever the actual amount is. So it just provides clarification that, because I think it's like we're at 37.9 is what the revenue estimates have for the tobacco settlement this time. So it's just clear that it's not always going to be 40. It'll be either 40 or whatever the actual amount is.
Okay, thank you. It's hard for me to read it, but that's fine.
Representative Heath?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it just means that it will go on as usual to the trust fund, only the amount is not the 40 million. It's that simple.
Yeah, there's no actual change to this. It was I think a technical recommendation from the comptroller's office is my understanding of where this section came from.
Okay.
Okay. So could I have a motion to accept Mickey, do I just need the section 47?
Well, and this is where it's up to you, Representative. Do you want, because if you do want to make that education trust fund change I was talking about statutory, it would amend the same law as section 47. So we would just merge it into section 47. So does the committee want to make the education trust fund uses open for the biennium only, or make that a statutory change moving forward? That's what it comes down to. And then we would do one of those 2 amendments.
Mickey, would you say that again, please?
Sure.
Yeah, Mickey, I think at this point, we will just vote on 47. Okay, and then we'll look at 48. But I think this one is easy.
No.
No,
Go ahead, Representative Turcott.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairperson. I'm actually
Whatever.
looking, I've reviewed both of the amendments that Mickey's talking about, and I would actually like to see 0693H in there. So I don't know if we have to, pass 47 first or go strict to the amendment, but I'd like to propose that one, please.
So that amendment does include the underlying section 47. So that would be essentially supporting 47, which I think everyone agrees with. And then that amendment makes the education trust fund change statutory as far as opening up its uses. So not for the. Yep. So that would be a proper idea. We would plug in that amendment here. Yep.
Okay, so what was the amendment number?
93H.
0639H.
Jay, I thought I had all this in one stack, but obviously I didn't. Representative Porter.
yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I'm a little confused. So when we're looking at this document that's on the screen now, we're looking at page 22, section 47, Education Trust Fund. We have to approve that. That's in the current budget or we can approve it via one of two amendments that change. I guess I'm confused of what we do. Do we have to do 47 first, or can we do 47 just through the amendment?
No, we do not.
Do not what?
We do not have to approve 47 because the amendment that Representative Turcott is referring to
Right.
includes both the tobacco settlement and the public school business dealing with
Right.
the fund itself.
So, and I think I understand that, but if we decide against both of these amendments, do we still have to go back and approve 47? Is my question.
We have to do something with
With
the,
that line?
yes.
Yeah,
We have to do something with the structure of the education trust fund.
Okay,
We either make it for 2 years or we make it statutory,
okay.
okay? And Representative Turcott, you said 0639. Are you sure?
No, 0693H.
Okay. Thank you. My ears were backwards. Representative Heath?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let's just talk a little bit about the implications of that. So in the last session, we had a lot of money in the trust and we were in great shape. And it was a fabulous use of those funds to do building aid, special ed costs and TNT, and it worked really well. In the year when there are many years when the Education Trust does not have those funds and it has to draw funding from the general fund. So just thinking ahead, what lawmakers will have to do with future budgets, I just am not sure of making that change permanent. I mean, it has advantages and disadvantages. It protects building aid and special ed aid and TNT, but at the same time, trying to balance a budget and making sure we have sufficient funds for adequacy. I just am not sure of the implications of codifying that as a permanent change.
Yeah, I have no problem going either way. And I think Representative Heath makes some good points. Representative Turcott, do you have any problem if we just make it for the biennium?
I do not. I just preferred the 06938.
Yeah. Well, if I would prefer that as well, but I believe that Representative Heath has made an excellent point that we may not in the future have sufficient education trust funds to manage everything that we're talking about. But so anyhow, Representative Murray, did you have your hand up?
I did. I was just going to ask quickly if, would this be something that we could consider in the next year so that we have time to consider what Representative Heath was proposing or suggesting?
Yeah, I mean, this is, if we do it temporarily, we can always submit a bill because there's really no money tied to it. You can always submit a bill to make it permanent.
And the only other thing I'll clarify is these amendments make it allowable for the Education Trust Fund to be utilized for these programs. It doesn't require budget writers fund these programs from the Education Trust Fund, because under current law, there's explicit uses for the Education Trust Fund. So like you'd have to change law to use it. This just provides, it opens it up a little bit, but certainly in House Bill 1, you could still fund these programs with the general fund if you wanted to. You're not required to fund them with the Education Trust Fund.
Representative Lynn, you had a question?
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused. I guess I don't. I understand that the issue that we're sort of debating is whether we approve this for just the biennium or permanently. I guess what I'm not clear on is where does it say one or the other? That's the thing I guess I'm a little confused about.
This is the two amendments, Representative. So Amendment 0693 puts it right into RSA 198.39, whatever it is, whereas the other one is just a session law for the biennium only. So if you would only adopt one of these two amendments, depending on which policy you want to set here.
And Mickey, what's the second amendment number?
9-4.
H.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I see it now. I'm sorry. I see what you're saying. Thank you.
Representative Heath?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, I just want to clarify. So in my mind, I have the right. So Amendment 0693H allows for, in perpetuity, allowable uses for the education trust. It does not require that to happen year after year, but it allows for. Am I correct, Mickey?
Correct. It opens up the allowable uses for the Education Trust Fund, but it's really all driven by what we appropriate in House Bill 1, the source of funds.
A follow-up, please.
Please.
Mickey, would this in any way compromise the trust fund and open it up to other uses that we have not clarified?
No, I mean, so it essentially uses the same language we used last term. It just, under current law, we can use it for adequacy, the low and moderate homeowners property tax relief program, and any other kindergarten programs established by the general court. This opens it up to be for tuition and transportation, special ed aid, and school building aid. That's it. There's no other uses that in the budget you could do without changing that law.
All right. Thank you.
Representative Porter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So currently, previous to last term's budget, those items listed here came from the general fund then?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Representative Turcott moved amendment 0693. Do we have a second on that?
I could-
Second by Petrie.
Okay, thank you. So this is, yeah, we're going to vote on amendment 2021-0693H. And this covers both 47 and 48, no, yeah, 47 and 48, Mickey?
No, just 47, but it takes care of
Okay.
2 issues.
Okay, all right. So this takes care of the tobacco issue.
Yep.
As well as the other stuff that wasn't necessarily a problem.
Right.
So Representative Lynn, would you call the roll, or are there any other questions? Okay, I don't see any. Okay, Representative Lynn, are you ready to call the roll?
I am, yes. Motion made by Representative Turcott and seconded by Representative Petrie. Representative Petrie,
Representative Petrie votes yes.
Representative Turcott,
Turcott votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter,
Porter votes yes.
Representative Heath,
Heath votes yes.
Representative Murray,
Murray votes yes.
and Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
Madam Chair, the vote is 7-0 in the affirmative.
Okay, thank you. Let's go down to page 30, number 68, which is the crisis intervention training. This money appeared in both HB1 and HB2. And what this is doing is taking it out of, or what we want to do is to take it out of HB2 and leave it in HB1. And Mickey, do we have to, at the same time, approve a footnote in HB1, or do we do that someplace else?
We could do it now as just one motion to remove House Bill 2 and add the footnote to House Bill 1. So Amendment 0712H from your amendment packets has the straight delete of this section. And then if you look at the following page in the packet that I sent, you see the language of the footnote that we would add right to that appropriation where the line is in police standards budget. That way it's clear that that appropriation is still for this purpose, but we just keep it all combined in one bill versus doubling it up. It was really a technical mistake in the way the documents came to us. So this is just cleaning it up.
Okay, are there any questions on this?
Yeah, just one question, Madam Chair. Mickey, could you give me the amendment number one more time?
0712H.
Thank you.
Representative Heath?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, just to make sure I know what I'm voting for, it's simply a correction of a duplication of House Bill 1 and 2 and moves that section to HB1 only.
That's correct.
Just kind of a fix it up. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Right. Representative Porter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to tell everybody that I feel official now. I just got my HB1 and HB2 in the mail. It just got delivered, so now I'm official. Thank you.
Okay. I'm trying to get official here, which is kind of hard. So could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll move.
And that was Representative Porter?
Lynn,
Oh, okay, Representative Lynn. All right, do I have a second?
Second by Petrie.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, Representative Lynn, when you're ready to call the roll.
thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Petrie,
Representative Petrie votes yes.
Representative Turcott,
Turcott votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter,
Porter votes yes.
Representative Heath,
Heath votes yes.
Representative Murray,
Murray votes yes.
and Representative Umberg.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, it's a vote of 7-0 in the affirmative, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mickey, just a quick question. So amendment 0694, we can get rid of, is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay, I just want to keep my stuff together here. So, geez. Okay. Well, this is page 47, and it's 111 through 113. This is wildlife. This is on bears, damage by bears, where Fish and Game will take care of whatever it is. So are there any, and by the way, this came back from Fish and Game as, sounds like a good idea. So are there any questions on this? Representative Heath?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just need to know what this means. Mickey?
It's just basically paying for landowners, I guess I should say, for damage that bears do to their crops.
And the funds for which this will come are the Fish and Game funds. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, there's no general funds involved here. This is all from their dedicated sources.
All right, thank you.
Okay, are there, Representative Turcott?
Yes, I don't know if you guys have discussed this in committee already. I know I kind of parachuted in a few days ago. Had this bill or this section been discussed within committee yet?
No, basically anytime that there is a policy issue that that is in HB2, we send it to the policy committee for their review. And they come back and tell us whether they like the policy or they don't like the policy. And in this case, Fish and Game came back and said they liked the policy. This is standard that we've been doing for years and years because we're not a policy committee. Did that answer your question?
Not really, but well, yeah, it does and doesn't. I guess
But when Fish and Game was in, did they talk about this?
It did not.
Okay, but obviously they had no problem with it either.
No. And I did reach out to see whether this was in or not, if it would result in any budgetary change needed, and they said no. So this purely is a policy section or 3 sections, and it's not uncommon that sections like this will appear in House Bill 2. And I think Representative Umberger hit the nail on the head. Usually the policy committees do opine on whether or not they think it's fine or not. And I think the Fish and Game chair did connect with her on this one.
Representative Porter?
This is just out of curiosity. Do we know why this section was added into the bill? Was there a problem with bears in our agriculture that was blossoming in the last year or two?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
that's my understanding anyhow. Okay, Representative Turcott, did you have another question?
I did. It kind of, I know it's probably not directly relevant, but did they mention, I mean, how frequently does this happen in terms of what are they expecting the actual dollar payout to be in something like this?
No. There was nothing mentioned in that regard by anybody, either Fish and Game or or the Fish and Game Committee.
Okay.
Let's see. Representative Porter, did you have another question?
Oh. No, Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
Representative Lynn, I believe you were next.
Yes, you know what, my only question, Madam Chair, is this. I guess I have this sort of same questions about the policy that I think maybe Representative Porter and Representative Turcott also have. But I understand that our role is not the policy role at this point. So I guess my question is, am I understanding that if we vote to approve this on the sort of money issues thing, that's all we're doing? We're not saying that we necessarily agree with the policy that, I mean, eventually when it gets to the floor, we're gonna make a vote that I guess would include both things. But right now we're only approving the money aspect of it, and there really isn't any money aspect because it's all coming out of the Fish and Game. Is that correct?
No. Because Fish and Game has told us that this is good policy. And so what we're doing is within HB2, we are not only putting in the policy and agreeing that Fish and Game is doing whatever they need to do, as well as any money that that the Fish and Game Fund may in fact need to expend. So anything that ends up in HB2, okay, whether it's policy or money, is the recommendation from our committee to Big Finance, along with eventually to the House for their vote. So it's, it's both, I guess, is my thought process on that. Representative Heath?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the Fish and Game, this was not generated by Fish and Game.
I would have to say that it was.
Usually,
Go ahead, Nick.
oftentimes agencies will provide any House Bill 2 requests that they have to the governor during the development of the governor's recommended budget. So this was deemed something from the governor's office as okay to put in there as something that Fish and Game was looking to have changed rather than a separate bill. As you all know, that a lot of times agencies will reach out to members to draft a piece of legislation. In this case, it was something brought to the governor's office and just added to House Bill 2.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Absolutely.
you know, there's never been a public hearing on this. There's never been a conversation really about this. I just don't feel comfortable going forward with this amendment. I think it needs to reside in Fish and Game, and there needs to be a little bit more action. There are a number of things in HB2 that haven't had public hearings, and it makes me very concerned. And this is one of the areas as well, now that I'm understanding what this means a little bit better. So I don't think I'm going to feel comfortable voting yes on this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I will only say that yesterday was the public hearing on HB2. And the fact that no one chose to speak about this is, that was their choice. And so when you can't say we didn't have a public hearing. We had the one yesterday, and we also had Fish and Game in to talk to us, and no one from the public commented, and I don't believe that there were any questions that were asked about this by members of the committee. And so I don't think that we can say there hasn't been a public hearing. And of course, I think that my responsibility is to make sure that the Fish and Game Committee, if in fact it had gone to them, would have approved it. And what I got back from Fish and Game is, yes, they would approve this. If they had said no, then I would have recommended that we take it out.
Representative, I have Matt from the governor's office here to answer any questions. Perhaps you could provide a little bit of backstory to these sections or context.
That would be very helpful.
That would be fine.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and good to see the members of the committee once more. Just to clarify the genesis of this language, this was a direct request from the Fish and Game Department. And what this language does is amends an existing statute to clarify that you must be a commercial, or in this case, engage in the husbandry or sale of at least $1,000 in products to be eligible to be compensated for damage that is directly incurred because of bears. Right now, anyone, whether they be a commercial entity or a resident, can petition the state to have the state pay for that damage. So this adds some more guardrails on what types of occasions the state would be in a position to pay for that damage, and also clarifies the process and given it some more clearly defined structures for how these proceedings would occur. And again, this all at the direct request of Fish and Game.
Representative Lynn, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Can I just ask, Mr. Mayo, is the idea, I mean, I understand that this, what we're voting on now didn't establish this program, and I have to be completely honest with you, I had no idea before I came across this in the budget that the state was paying these kind of things to anybody. And so I guess my question is the rationale behind this that it, by offering to pay people for bear damage, the theory is that they won't resort to self-help and try to shoot the bear if the bear is damaging their crop or whatever, because there'll be some kind of compensation available? I mean, is that the rationale?
I wouldn't want to speak to that element. I would put that to the Fish and Game Department on exactly where this section originated some time ago. I don't believe that's the intent here, but I guess to give one example, if you have a bird feeder in your backyard that is damaged by a bear, right now you can petition the state to have the state pay for your damaged bird feeder. Under this idea, only someone that is, growing crops for an agricultural use or something along those lines would be eligible to receive compensation. So trying to take away some of those, and I'll admit, I didn't know the state did this either prior to our conversations with Fish and Game. I think the state owes me some money for some bird feeders in my backyard over time. But nonetheless, just clarifying that if you're a commercial or industrial entity that suffers damage, there is a process that you can bring a claim to the state, but not for some of these other instances. And I guess I would leave that there.
Well, I guess, I mean, that is at least somewhat clarifying to me. I frankly, on the overall policy issue, I guess I kind of wonder if this is a good idea at all, but I understand that's, maybe it's been in law for quite a while. I mean, just as an example, maybe it would make more sense to devote this kind of money to the fish biologists that we've basically said there's not enough money or something for that. But I suppose, I guess, given that it's already been in law for a long time, and this seems to be at least reducing the scope of the people who are entitled to collect, I guess I can go along with it, but I'm still not sure that it's this is a most worthwhile usage of funds, even if it is coming from the Fish and Game Fund.
Okay, it appears that bears are high on the list of things that we want to argue about. So I think we've spent enough time on bears today. So Mickey, would you please contact the Fish and Game commissioner? Oh, I guess he's not called a commissioner. Would you contact the Fish and Game person and ask him to come and talk to us about these particular sections of HB2. Many of you may or may not remember when Fish and Game was in, I said, oh, we're going to have lots of problems with bears. So if you would do that, and I guess we could anyhow figure out the best time for him and for us, and then we will not discuss any more bears today, if that's okay. So okay, is Representative Turcott, as long as it's not about bears, you may speak.
No,
Okay.
I wanted to speak more about bears and more particularly mountain lions. I'm very upset that they would have been removed from that RSA.
Okay, well, Fish and Game says there are no mountain lions, just in case. No mountain lions in New Hampshire. Okay, so one last thing, and then I want to switch to talking about the commission on, I'll call it Lori list, which of course it's not, and that is section 134, which is the repeal of the state not taking care of the two roads in Sandwich and Thornton. I think that Bill Cass indicated that he had talked to the selectmen of these towns, and there didn't seem to be any problem with it. So, does anybody have any problems with approving this? Oh, thank you. Okay, could I have a motion to accept section 134 of HB2.
Turcott moves to approve that motion of 134 as long as there's no bear habitat on those roads. Thank
Okay, as far as I know, the answer is no, but I haven't driven on those two roads. But I've been in some pretty scary things in Sandwich, so. Do I have a second, please?
Second by Petrie.
Okay, thank you. Representative Lynn, oops, we have a question. Representative Heath.
I'm sorry. I remember in the last session, we had a lot about this issue. Mickey, was all that resolved, or is this something that didn't get addressed last time and is coming back?
I don't recall this specific situation. This is a pretty isolated thing from a very old law. I don't really recall anything from last budget tied into this.
Okay, thank you. So there are no issues around this for either town?
Not that I'm aware of, nor was Mr. Cass aware of any.
Okay, thank you.
So if you're ready, Representative Lynn, please call the roll.
Yes, certainly. Representative Petrie,
Petrie votes yes.
Representative Turcott,
Representative Turcott votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter,
Porter votes yes.
Representative Heath,
Yes,
Representative Murray,
Murray votes yes.
and Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, vote is 7-0 in the affirmative, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay. Mickey, did we make any headway today? Or is this?
So we did. So this document that you're looking at and the one that we walked through before with the approval of some HB1 items, I'll update those with the amendments and I'll plug them into that action column, as well as like just accept for the ones that we didn't change. So when we see a new document tomorrow, you'll see, you know, tangibly some of the work that we got done today. So yeah, we're moving in the right direction.
Okay. Representative Heath.
thank you. I just want to say to Mickey, thank you for keeping a running list like this. It really is helpful in our deliberation.
Yes,
So thank you.
yes, that's for sure.
And I understand it's a little tricky with multiple PDFs and not everyone has, you know, 6 monitors to keep everything up on, and daily mailings to get to you is a little tricky, you know, but we're doing our best and hopefully this is useful for everybody.
I'll tell you what, it is certainly useful for me. And I think it helps us all to stay a little bit organized.
Absolutely.
You know, instead of wandering all over the place, but we'll get there. So I would like to take this down, Mickey, and go to section 145 and through 147. You indicated that, okay, Matt is there. Is Steve Lavoy on the call, or Commissioner Quinn?
I do have Steve here if you'd like me
Okay.
to.
Yep, bring him up if you would.
And you're all set with the screen share, you said, Representative? You don't
Yeah,
need that?
no, we don't need that. We just need to turn to 145 through 148 on page 63. Okay. And the issue that, here we go. Actually, it's on page 64. Okay. The question is there anyone that is opposed to establishing this commission? Don't all speak at once.
A little context, please.
Okay, when you ask for a little context, if you remember, this is part of that law enforcement study that was done. And if I remember correctly, they indicated that this particular area that there was not, they still had some work to do. And so in order to do the work, they wanted to establish this commission to go forward. Representative Petrie?
Yes, Madam Chair. I got a concern about the Attorney General making the 4 appointments, the extras, and the having the police standards and training one of those of those 4 necessary versus the committee making the decision of who the additional members are.
Okay. Representative Murray?
Can I get clarification on, this is in 148, the $500,000? Because we have the study commission being formed. The study commission is going to study whether there should be a commission or how this commission should look on the complaints of misconduct. And can we just get refresh me about, is that $500,000? Is that for the study commission? And in which case, why do they need that? Or is that for the commission that's actually going to do the work that deals with the misconduct?
Yes, Representative Murray. This money was put in for 23 to actually pay for 5 newly created slots, positions. And I don't believe that we should attempt to define the number of people that this commission might require. Because if it's there and it says the commission needs 5, guess what the commission will do? They'll make it so they need 5 people. Myself on this, I would recommend that we put like $100,000 in HB2, eliminate the 500,000, whatever it was, in HB1, and this would allow them to do whatever they need to do. Plus, if they need whatever their need is, that they could then come to fiscal and ask for the money at that time. That would be my recommendation. I don't know whether $100,000 is the right number or not, but 100,000 I think comes close to what we would pay a clerk, if that's, I don't know, but that's sort of where, what I'm thinking.
Follow up?
Absolutely.
So I'm clear. So now I think I agree, but I still want to make sure. This money is for the study commission, not the commission that's going to deal with a misconduct. It's to establish, to consider how that acting committee on the misconduct will be, what it will look like. So that's for the study commission.
Yeah, what we would do is put it in HB2 under the study commission and allow it to stay there for 2 years. So if the study commission needed it, fine. If they didn't, then whatever they come to grips with as far as an organization, then it could be applied towards the organization. Okay,
Think I got it. Thank
all
you.
right. Representative Lynn.
Yeah, I think what you propose makes sense. I guess the only, this is really a follow-up to the issue that Representative Petrie raised about, we talked about this the other day, that the four other members of the commission, it doesn't sort of say how they're appointed. And I think we might have asked a question of Mr. Mayu about that, and he was gonna, so maybe he has some further thoughts on that. But if he does, that's great. My thought was either let's have the governor make that appointment, or let's have the attorney general make those appointments.
Thank you, Representative Lynn, for the question. And those are the two most logical for us. One would be the governor. The other alternative would be the chair of the LEACT commission, who could make those appointments. And the chair of that commission is the attorney general. So I think those are the most natural people that you could, yeah.
Okay, so what, if I understood what you just said, Matt, the chair of the LEAC commission would appoint the 4 additional members. Is that correct? I see your head nodding, but I'm not hearing you.
I'm sorry, was that for me, Representative Umberg? I'm sorry.
Yes. So we would say the chairman of the LEAC committee would appoint the 4 additional members. Is that what I heard you say?
You could certainly say that, and just so that the committee is aware that LEACT was chaired by the attorney general.
Okay. Has the LEAC gone away?
They are not meeting at this point, but they still exist as a chartered by executive order.
Okay, so the executive order is still, it hasn't been eliminated. Okay. Representative Lynn, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it did. You know, my suggestion is that rather than, I mean, I understand that technically the LEAC commission is still in existence, but it sounds like it mostly has completed its work. So I wonder if it, just in the interest of making things easier and avoiding some question later on, if it wouldn't make more sense to simply say in that section 105D3A Roman numeral 1D, that 4 additional members from the New Hampshire Commission on Law Enforcement Accountability, and then two of these members shall be law enforcement members, and 2 of these members shall not be law enforcement members. And then to just add a sentence saying these 4 members shall be appointed by the attorney general.
Okay. And to Representative Petrie's comment, I personally agree that the police standards and training person should in fact be one of the members of this committee. And I say that because they are right now the group that is reviewing this stuff. I mean, that's my understanding. And I think that's what Mr. Skippa said. And he has a whole group of people that I don't know what that committee's called. So Matt, do you or Steve have any comment on that?
The only thing that I would say is police standards is on LEACT, so the current language would allow them to be appointed out of those 4 members. The only thing I would say is if the committee does start to identify a specific agency, such as police standards, that Department of Safety it would make sense to also delineate them. But again, in both instances, those two agencies are already captured by those four.
Right, but if the Attorney General chose not to put someone on there. So what you're saying is that we could say, we could do D that says, or well, we could do it in four additional members, including a person from safety and a person from the police standards and training, and then 2 law enforcement members.
The only other recommendation I would have would maybe be to add or essentially give safety and police standards their own line, and then maybe either reduce that from 4 to 2 in D, or maybe even just increase the scope of this commission by 2. But those 2 agencies I would call out in their own letter.
Okay. Let's see, Representative Heath, or excuse me, did you have anything to say, Steve?
No, I agree with Matt's recommendation.
Okay, all right. Representative Heath, I believe you were next.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the issue over the police standards. I think that's critically important to have them as part of this. I'm not sure, and I also agree on reducing the amount of funding. I think 500,000 is way too much for this. My question is about the commission. They will do their work, they'll come out with their recommendations, and to whom will these recommendations go? And well, will they go to police standards? And will police standards be the responsible entity for training officers across the state, or combining, just making sure everybody's fully aware of what this process is? And is there a need for any additional funds for communication of what the work that the commission has done? Or is that something, Madam Chair, that you said that they could come to fiscal for?
Yes,
So I guess that's a whole string of questions. Thank
right,
you.
right, right.
I'm happy to answer those and maybe take this back up to 40,000 feet. So this commission would only exist for 3 months, if you will. They're going to bring legislation to the legislature that would recommend the creation of a new state agency, which is where the 500,000 in the second year comes from. So no, it would not be currently envisioned to be at police standards and training. This is, in theory, a new state agency that this commission would formalize through a recommendation to you. The legislature would then vote to authorize that. And that's how we put aside the 500,000 in year 2. Just want to, and then the commission goes away, right? They're repealed on November 2nd of this year. But again, this is a new state agency, is in theory, the final work product of this commission and the legislature.
Did you have a follow-up, Representative Heath?
So what happens to police standards?
Nothing.
Nothing happens to police standards.
All right.
Okay, but yes,
Thank-
I would assume that part of their normal training program, that this would be something that was discussed. Okay. Let's see. Representative Turcotte, were you next, or was it Representative Porter? Go ahead, Representative Turcotte.
Okay, thank you. All right, just to be clear, this is the way I read it, that we're going to establish a commission as delineated in 105D3A. That commission is going to run from or till November 1st.
Mhm.
And November 2nd, that commission will be repealed. It will no longer exist. And then in 148, it's saying that we're going to appropriate $517,250 And that would be for the commission delineated in 105D3A. So the way I'm reading it is that money is for a period of only up to November 2nd. Am I correct?
Representative Turcott, what I would point to is line 8 on page 65. The appropriation is for the purpose of establishing this new statewide entity, and it's in fiscal year 23. So the money does not come into play until the commission has issued its report, the legislature has considered legislation next year. If the legislature votes to establish this entity, this appropriation would be for the operational costs of the new state agency. And on line 8, the single neutral independent statewide entity is where this appropriation is for in fiscal 23.
I do understand what you're saying. Just so you know, I don't read it that way. It's, I think it could be certainly interpreted different ways, but
That's one of the reasons, Representative Turcott, why I'm recommending the reduction. Okay.
Thank-
Representative Porter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of things. I'm looking back on line 23 on page 64, where we're talking about the 4 additional members of this commission. 2 of them are members from law enforcement, and 2 of them are members of the public that are not part of law enforcement. So just so that we know, if we set separate lines up, one for the police standards and one for, was it the other one, Department of Safety? That was the
Right.
other one. Then we are then what would be left would just be 2 members that are not law enforcement. Okay, so that's the first question
Or
clarification that I wanted to make.
we could enlarge the commission by 2 people.
Okay, thank you. And
Okay,
then, then I'm confused, I guess, because on page 65 at the top, line 1, section 147 is talking about $1 million for cameras. And then we're skipping down to line 5, 148 is talking about the commission again to receive complaints.
Nikki is in the process of trying to clean up this area
Okay,
so that we have body cameras with body cameras and
Okay.
we have
okay.
commission with commission.
So can I have one more question and then I'll.
Is that correct, Nikki?
Yeah, these subjects kind of got entangled in House Bill 2 as it was introduced, so we will untangle them and have separate amendments for the division.
Thank you. And just one more thing.
Yeah, please go ahead.
And I think I'm understanding now that the figure of $517,250 is in there to fund the new state agency, which would be the complaint agency. And what you have recommended, Representative Umberger, is reducing that figure.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Representative Heath, you have your hand up?
Yes, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
No
Just-
problem.
I want clarification about this new agency. Am I correct in assuming this will be an agency like the Child Advocates Agency that operates separately without beholden to anybody else because it's totally objective? Am I right in my thinking?
Well, I know Matt was shaking his head. I believe that is the current concept. Okay, now whether or not that becomes the reality out of the study committee, I think Matt had made the comment that there were, some sticky wickets that this commission still needed to work through. But overall, he thought that, I'm putting words in his mouth, I hope you don't mind. But overall, they are leaning towards a separate entity like the Child Advocate or whatever else. Is that correct, Matt?
That is, and I just want to clarify, I think that was Matthew Broadhead from DOJ that referred to those things. But
Okay.
nonetheless, the intent is yes, yes.
Mhm. Okay, so are there any other comments or questions that we have on this? Mickey, are you clear enough to what it appears that we can agree to move forward with an amendment to this area?
Yes, I believe so. Should be good to go to turn something around for another work session.
Okay, okay. So that, and so if that's the case, we will, I love just giving Mickey all this work and I apologize, but it's something that we need to be, we need to have done. The other thing that I want to remind people is if you have amendments that you want to put forward, we need to get those. We've got some challenges with time and having the full committee here, in that Representative Petrie is not going to be here tomorrow, and Representative Heath is not going to be here on Monday. So I don't want to put ourselves in a position where we are taking votes on either of those 2 days, because I don't, I don't think it's appropriate and fair that we don't have the full committee to provide their input. So that's why I have, we have scheduled some more conversation on the university system and the community college system tomorrow, just to try to iron out whatever still needs to be ironed out there. And so that we can make a decision. I did invite Shannon and Kathy Provencher to come and listen in. I really feel that this will be primarily, oh, and I think Matt was invited as well. But I think that we are, we need to coalesce around something. Even if our coalescence is we agree to disagree. Okay, but that's where we need to get to. And if I could, so that will be on tomorrow, and I expect that will not be a short discussion. On Monday, Mickey, did we invite anyone in on Monday?
We have not officially yet. I can tell you, if you have the appetite for more bear discussion, I do have Executive Director Scott Mason from Fish and Game ready to answer any questions you may have today, or we can invite him back for another time.
Well, as long as he's here, I am thrilled to have some more bear discussions, okay?
You want to do that now, or did you have any other housekeeping you wanted to do while you were in the middle of that? I didn't want to cut off.
Okay, no, the only thing I just want to make sure that if people have amendments out there, that we get them so we can look at them and figure out, whatever that we can do. So anyhow, I was just going to say on Monday, if we can, I would like to have DOE in to talk about what is currently in our formula and what is not, compared to 2 years ago.
Okay.
And because I wasn't there 2 years ago. And so most of us on the committee were not. So I just think we need to clarify all of that and see what see what's there. So, and I know that the, what's it called? The $109 billion act that just passed. And I'm sorry, I don't recall what it was dubbed, but there are, as I understand it, funds for education in there that may have some impact on what we do. So, okay, so Mr. Mason, we have had all kinds of questions about sections 111 through 113 on bears. And I can't believe Steve is still on the line listening to the bears. He must have some in his backyard. But, oh, he went away. So,
I let him loose.
yeah, okay. So the questions are here, and so if we could, I will, maybe what we ought to do is have you tell us why you asked for this particular, these particular sections to go into HB2.
Currently, right now, I believe New Hampshire is one of 13 states that pays for bear damage to growing crops. As our bear population is increasing, we are seeing more non-commercial farmers ask for bear, because of the way the law is written, is to ask for bear damage payments. What this will do is it will limit it to folks that are commercially growing crops in the state of New Hampshire, trying to sell crops instead of just for their own use. And that's what some of the targets are. It also sets up some parameters such that they have to allow, one of our fundamental best ways to control bear damage is to allow hunting on your property. So that becomes one of the issues before the state would issue you a bear damage payment. You'd have to allow hunting on your property. The next step is we have some mitigation practices that we try to get farmers to, if possible, to try to use. Bears do not like electric fence. And you can, if you create a quality electric fence, you can usually keep bears out of certain areas. I have the unique experience that having farmed for 25 years in Coos County, I've been dealing with bears commercially for over 25 years and trying to keep them out of growing crops. So I have experience on both sides of the bear fence issue.
Okay, Representative Petrie, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. It's a clarification. Now, if a bear does a hungry bear does a home invasion, is that covered?
No. Well, let me ask, you mean for damage or for the ability of the property owner to defend themselves?
That would be damage. Everybody has a right to defend themselves, I believe.
Correct. So no, we do, the state does not cover damage only to growing crops, right?
That's correct, yes.
I'm sorry, I have Mark, Mark Ellingwood with me here in the office. And Dan Bergeron.
Yeah.
And I believe Kathy's on the phone someplace too, if we have financial questions.
If I, Representative, may I speak briefly to put a little context on this? So I just mentioned that the laws in question were established in the late 1890s, presumably to protect a very scarce bear resource at the time. We've continued to work very closely using technical services and monetary payment with a particular focus on agriculture. In recent decades, there's been a significant proliferation of interest in filing for claims by the general public, often involved in hobby activities. I think a primary thrust of this change would be to help narrow our focus so we can work with the people who we believe have the greatest need and are generally employing the best practices to prevent bear damage. So that in a nutshell, I think helps you to understand why we're advocating for this. As it exists, laws would allow anybody with any of the protected commodities, those being crops, bees, livestock. There's a couple more, help me out, Dan. But in any case, it's a small number of items that qualify, and yet people may or may not be exercising appropriate stewardship, and at the same time have the privilege through existing law established 120 years ago to file for damage against the state. So we thought it was time to tighten that up a bit and focus on our primary constituency here in terms of damage, that being the commercial agriculture. Thank you.
Representative Porter, you had a question?
No, I think my question was answered. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll put my hand down.
Thank you. Representative Lynn, I believe you were next.
Thank you. I guess I guess I'm prepared to support this because it is narrowing the category of people who get paid. But it sounds like when this program was originally established 120 years ago, the idea was to protect the bears because there weren't very many of them, and we wanted to save them. But now the idea, if I'm understanding correctly, is there are too many bears, and so we want to have them hunted. In fact, in order to get this money, you have to agree to allow hunting on your property. So I guess my question is, wouldn't it, if you, to the extent that you're paying anything, it would seem to me that that is sort of undercutting the idea of encouraging the bears to be taken, because the idea would seem to be, if I'm going to get paid for the crop damage, I would be less inclined to allow to want to have the bears taken than if I wasn't getting paid at all. So I mean, then that would seem to be even a greater encouragement to allow hunting on your property if you're not going to get paid at all. So why not just stop the payments altogether?
Yeah, thank you, Representative. I'll respond to that. We have more bears than we had. We don't generally have too many bears, although that's debatable depending on your sensitivity to the presence of bears. Our experience is that this is a helpful and I think legitimate interest of New Hampshire agriculture, in so much as some of this damage cannot be avoided. And in certain years, particularly when there's a scarcity of natural foods, some farm interests are subject to significant impacts. And in that context, I just say we're content with the balance. Our experience in working with agriculture is none of them are motivated by the payments we make. The payments tend to be very conservative. We're paying wholesale values in the field. It certainly would better serve the interest of the farmer to have no damage than to have the modest payments that we allocate. So I think we've struck the right balance. The other thing is that the Farm Bureau is a close partner of ours, somebody who we work very closely with, and quite honestly, we're not anxious to separate or lose the ability to help them where legitimate needs exist. So another point I would make to you, just for your background, is that these funds are paid, losses are paid annually through Fish and Game, but charged against New Hampshire General Fund money. So we are not losing that money from Fish and Game funds specifically. Rather, the bill, as directed by the statute, actually is charged against available state revenues.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Scott, you said Kathy was on the line. I would just
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if Mickey opened up a channel to her or not, but she's in her office.
okay. I was just curious as to what that dollar figure was.
You want to do that?
Yeah,
10 and 80 a year.
so the totals over the years, starting 2011, they
Well, let's
paid out.
just go for, the last 4 years. We don't need to go
Sure.
back.
In 17, $10,742. In 18, $80,767. 19, $23,263. 20, $57,213. So you see the cycle that tends to follow and we break these payments down by commodity crop, forage corn, fruit, livestock, and honey damage. And if you look at them, what you really start seeing when you look closely is the damage to field corn, and that follows the bear's natural feed. So in a year where we're seeing a lot more damage in the field corn, it's because the bears don't have as much to eat out in the woods, and they've learned to, come out of the woods and head into the cornfields and graze.
Representative Turcott, you have a question?
Thank you. Answered one of my 2 questions on the dollar value. The other question is, how many incidents of filings do you have annually?
I can handle that if you'd like.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's quite small, actually. You're talking about a dozen, 10 to 20 a year, depending on the commodity. Most, as the director indicated, most of those funds go directly to corn growers, silage corn and sweet corn. And the number in terms of non-commercial complaints, they range on the order of a dozen to 20 a year and tend to be primarily backyard chicken growers and some beehive keepers. We get an occasional claim for the loss of a goat or a pig from residential communities, from bears as well, but it's modest numbers. It's not large numbers.
Representative Petrie, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Yes, wild boar in the western part of the state, they cause quite a bit of damage that I've heard. And why wouldn't a program like this cover the damage that they do?
The liability for damage covered by wild boar, which to our knowledge are exclusively from Blue Mountain Forest, fall to the forest, and they readily cover that damage. The narrow focus of the statute's a reflection of the writers of that statute back in the 1890s. It has been changed periodically in subtle ways, as I understand it, since then.
Did you have a follow-up?
No, I'm all set. That's just the way the law is written, and accept that, I guess.
By the way, I love your bow, Kathy. Okay, are there any other questions on this? Is there anyone that is still has a problem with approving 111 through 113? Representative Lynn?
Yes, Madam Chair, I was going to say, the answers completely satisfy me, so I would make a motion to approve the changes as proposed.
Second that motion.
Great. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say? So Representative Lynn, when you're ready to call the vote, press on.
Thank you. Representative Petrie,
Petrie votes yes.
Representative Turca,
FERCog votes no.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter,
Yes,
Representative Heath,
Yes,
Representative Murray,
Murray votes yes.
and Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, Madam Chair, the vote is 6-1 in the affirmative.
Okay, thank you very much. So, well, we got the bears out of the way today. I knew it. I just knew it. So anyhow, we will, oh, Representative Porter, did you have a question or a comment?
I was just thinking that I kind of feel like being at town meeting where we pass the, $2 million budget in 5 minutes and we spend an hour and a half on a dump truck.
Yeah.
Well, the fun of what goes on in the state of New Hampshire. So we will recess for today and come back tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock to do the some more conversation on the university system. And Mickey, do you have anything that you would like to say?
No, just a reminder, get any amendments you want to propose to me, and then also just let me know, we'll communicate obviously at that point, but I just want to make it clear that you do want to offer an amendment before I add it to these working documents. So I won't add anything to this until, we have those discussions individually.
And Madam Chair, can I just a reminder, as I think I mentioned to you before, I will be able to join the meeting, but only for a very few minutes because I have to go to Concord for the hearing on the Attorney General nomination. I've been asked to testify. So I'll be leaving to do that.
That's tomorrow, right?
That's tomorrow, yes.
Okay. Bob, if you do have anything that you still need clarification on the university system, just send me a note and I'll make sure it gets asked.
Yeah, no, actually, I don't think I do. I mean, I understand that there are, considerations on both sides of this, but I don't think I really have any questions, but thank you.
Okay, so we'll see everyone tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, and this meeting is recessed until then. So have a good afternoon, everybody.
You also, bye-bye.